Hello and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Tanya and I'm a second-year nurse practitioner student living and going to school in Ontario, Canada. For today's video, I thought I would answer some frequently asked questions that I usually get about the NP program. I previously filmed another video explaining the whole nurse practitioner application process, and if you haven't seen that, I'll link it above here and down below. I have my questions written down so I don't forget, so let's get started. The first question that by far was the most popular was how much was my GPA when I applied to the NP program. For this, I had to go back to my records because I honestly didn't remember. So it was actually a 3.7 GPA in my bachelor's degree as a nurse or in the nursing program. So not the worst, but not the best. When I applied, I originally went to see an academic advisor and I told him about my GPA, and I remember him saying, well, I mean, it's not that bad, but we give priority to obviously the people who have higher GPAs. I still applied. I didn't let that deter me. Now, I feel that the first and the second question go hand in hand. The second question is, what academic references or references in general do I need to apply to the NP program? Every university is different in terms of what they require for references. So what I suggest is to go on the website of the university you're interested in, and there they have a detailed breakdown of exactly what references they're looking for. In my case, I was out of school for about 6 years. So sometimes some universities that I applied for exempted me from an academic reference if I've been out of school for more than 5 years. Other universities required you to be out of school for 10 years in order for you not to provide academic references. So it varies from university to university. I actually didn't stay in touch with my professors from undergrad. I did try to contact them. I went to the university and I saw the professors that I recognized. I emailed them, but it's been so long that I don't blame them for not replying to me. I ended up not getting any academic references from my undergrad professors, but I didn't let that deter me. So what I did is I actually applied to a diabetes certification program, and it happened to be taught by a master's educated nurse. So for the academic references, it has to be a master's or PhD prepared nurse. This professor ended up being my reference, my academic reference for all my applications, and she was more than happy to do it because we were such a small class, so we kind of knew each other, even though the program was taught solely online, so it worked out. The reason why I say question 1 and question 2 go hand in hand, because I feel like the whole application process isn't just based on GPA and grades, rather the whole package. Do grades matter? Yes, of course they matter, but I really feel that they also take into consideration the references. They hold in high regard how your references speak of you and how they recommend you. So that's why I really think it's really important for all the undergraduate students that are thinking about pursuing graduate studies to make good relationships with your professor. Try to stand out in the class, not only in assignments, but going up to the professor and making yourself known. I feel like that's a tip I would have given myself in undergrad. I didn't take it as seriously, and so I didn't really pay attention to the relationships I had with my professors. So part B of question 2 is that you also need working references. By the time you're ready to apply to the NP program, you'd already be a registered nurse working out in whatever field that you choose, but you do need your manager's reference. And this is a good segue into question 3. What type of nursing or working nursing experience would help me in the NP program? Now, this is a very tricky question because I don't want to influence anyone or any recent nurse to go into a particular field just because they think it'll help them in the program. Realistically, now that I'm in the program and I've gotten to know the other students, a lot of students have ICU acute background in the hospital. I myself am a general medicine nurse for now coming up on 7 years. So it doesn't really matter what field you're working in once you're thinking about applying to the NP program. But what I will say is that whatever field you're working in, it's really important to stand out. Any work that you are working in, you have to show leadership skills. So whether you're working in a cath lab, on a telemetry unit, on a GI unit, palliative, whatever it might be, what I feel like they're looking for is leadership skills and how you stand out in whatever environment you're in. I really feel that if you're involved in committees, in projects on your unit, that really makes you stand out as a leader, and that's what really they're looking for. Now, this is to get into the program. Once you're in the program, it's completely different. I really feel that there's no one particular unit that might help you excel or kind of prepare you for the role of being a nurse practitioner. Having said that, I feel if I had to pick, it would probably be a triage emerge nurse, or working in emerge in general, or even working in a walk-in clinic might benefit you in the program. But to get into the program, I really feel it doesn't matter. The reason why I say emerge or triage emerge is because you're able to triage and pick out the people that have the most acute problems. So red flags for anything, including chest pain, respiratory distress, anything like that. And why I say walk-in clinic, it really depends on the type of nurse practitioner what you want to be. But in my case, I'm in the primary healthcare field. So a walk-in clinic, you would see a lot of the things that you would see in primary care as a primary care NP. Having said that, I feel like the RN role helps us to identify all the red flags and any patient that needs immediate attention. But what do we do after this? Yes, we collect the history, we perform an assessment, and then we escalate it to the primary care physician or primary care provider. And we ask them, okay, here's the situation, kind of deal with it. So it's their turn to deal with it. But as a nurse practitioner, you are the one that's supposed to deal with it. So what do you do next? What do you order? What labs? What diagnostic tests? What are your differentials? What are you thinking? Should you escalate this even more to a specialist, to ID, to GI? So now everything, I don't want to say burden, now you have to decide what to do with this patient that is in distress, or not even distress, just any situation. And I've experienced this firsthand during my clinical practice right now that I'm doing. Now I have to decide what medication am I going to order for this patient? What is the monitoring that I have to do? Maybe this drug has a side effect that I need to monitor for the first 2 weeks, or do I need to monitor? So all these questions are on you. And I feel that no role in any situation, emerge, if you're in ICU, in a clinic, will prepare you for that. I mean, now that I know this, maybe I would take a more active role in reading the patient's charts. But as a nurse on the floor or wherever you are, we're so busy attending to the needs of our patients that I find it's very hard to sit down and read the complete history, analyze the labs, do medications, all of that. It's so hard. So I would take it as a grain of salt. Don't stress yourself about, oh my God, I need to get into this field so that I can excel, or it prepared me to be an NP. Don't stress about that. The only thing I would say is that in whatever role you're in, try to be a leader, try to be involved in your unit, and that will show in your application. The other question that I get is, do I need research or volunteer experience? It's not really detailed in the requirements per se, but in the essay questions that you have to write, you can mention it. And I find that the students that I've met that have research experience have gotten in right away. And I find that any volunteer experience, continuing education experience really helps demonstrate that you have a passion for continuing education. And this is why you're applying to the NP program. As I mentioned before, it's not only about GPA. I feel like they're really looking for a well-rounded student, somebody who's continuously pursuing knowledge, who wants to expand their scope of practice, who's always looking for answers. The other question that I get is, can RPNs or registered practical nurses apply to the NP program? In short, no. You have to be a registered nurse or an RN, because an RN holds a bachelor's degree, and you need a bachelor's degree in order to continue any master's program, and if you want a PhD in the future. But you must be an RN because you hold the bachelor's degree. In the previous video that I did about my NP application process, I mentioned that you need 3,640 hours in order to apply. So I got a lot of questions asking, are these hours mandatory? Short answer, yes, they are mandatory. 3,640 hours is about 2 years of full-time working experience. And somebody asked me, is there a shortcut or some way around this? And basically no, because when you apply, the university will send you an application letter. And in that letter, you have to submit that to HR of whatever organization you're working at, and they fill out the hours that you've worked there. So I worked, when I applied, in 3 different organizations, and I applied to 5 different universities. So I literally had to send that letter to my 3 different workplaces, one which was not even in Canada. So they were bombarded with all these forms, and I kept on reminding them, remember, fill this out, fill this out. So really, there's no way around that. You have to have 2 years of full-time experience, which is the equivalent of 3,640 hours. And these hours are filled out by your HR department, not by you, because it requires their signature at the bottom. Another popular question that I get is, what NP programs are available? Now, I can only speak to the Ontario program because this is where I'm going to school. So there's 9 universities that offer primary care nurse practitioner programs, and that's the stream I'm currently in. University of Toronto is the only one in Ontario that offers adult and pediatric NP. We can summarize by saying in Ontario, there's basically only three programs that are offered: the primary healthcare, adult, and pediatric. This is because the NP role is relatively new in Ontario. I believe it started in 1994, so that's very recent. So it's still a new role that's developing, and I'm hoping in the future there will be more expansion into different specialties. I know in the States there's many specialties you can pursue, but currently in Ontario there's only really 3 programs that you can pick from. And the final, most frequently asked question that I get is, how long is the NP program? I am currently in the full-time stream, and it's taking me 2 very long years to finish. As a full-time student, I started in September of 2021. So there's basically 3 semesters. The fall semester from September to December, then the winter semester from January to April, and then the spring/summer semester from about, oh my God, I'm forgetting now, May, like end of April, May, beginning of May to July. And again, this year is the same. So I'm currently in my second/last year, currently in the winter semester, and then next semester I start my spring/summer semester, and that's the last thing I'll do. Yay! But yes, so 2 years full-time and 3 years part-time. For the part-time program, I know there's different ways of completing part-time. I believe they have a little bit more flexibility, but I'm not specifically sure in terms of like the semesters, how it's broken down, but I know it's 3 years for part-time. And that brings me to the end of the video. I hope I answered the hot burning questions of the NP program in Ontario. Please feel free to ask me more questions. You can contact me on my Instagram. I know a few people have messaged me through there, and I welcome all the questions. I can always do a second FAQ video, that's not a problem, or comment down below anything else you want to see. If you want to see my clinical is a new experience this semester. I'm actually doing half virtual and half in person, which I feel the virtual side is the new wave, the new future of healthcare, but that's another story. So please feel free to contact me on Instagram. I also have a TikTok that I like doing. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.